Welcome to our video about the fascinating world of Pokemon and their placement on the Tree of Life. Today, we are taking a closer look at Blastoise and why it is more closely related to Charizard than to Venusaur. Ready? Let's go! Archelosauria is a clade that includes turtles and archosaurs and all their extinct relatives, and excludes lepidosaurs. Most phylogenetic analyses, based on molecular data, conclude that archosaurs and turtles are sister clades. Multiple sequence alignments of DNA and protein sequences and phylogenetic inferences have shown that turtles are the closest living relatives to birds and crocodilians. There are about 1,000 ultra-conserved elements in the genome that are unique to turtles and archosaurs, but are not found in lepidosaurs. Other genome-wide analyses also support this grouping. Analyses based on morphological data have generally recovered turtles either as non-diapsid reptiles nested within Parareptilia, a group of basal reptiles that lived from the Carboniferous to the Triassic, as early diverging diapsids outside of Sauria, or as close relatives of lepidosaurs. The hypothetical clade formed by turtles and lepidosaurs, to the exclusion of archosaurs, is known as Ankylopida. A 2022 analysis by Simmels found a monophyletic Archelosauria using only morphological data for the first time, thus agreeing with most molecular analyses. Archelosauria was diagnosed by two unambiguous synapomorphies. In 2023, Woolneywics also found evidence for an expanded Archelosauria containing the three Mesozoic marine reptile clades Thalatosauria, Sauropterygia, and Ichthyosauromorpha. Now that we have clarified the relationships, let's focus directly on turtles. Turtles are an order of the Sauropsida and first appeared more than 220 million years ago in the Carnian, late Triassic. Turtles have adapted to a wide range of habitats and ecological niches. The range includes Mediterranean tortoise species, gopher or desert tortoises, and the particularly numerous, smaller aquatic turtle species in North America and Southeast Asia, large river turtles in South America, giant tortoises on some island groups, softshell turtles in Asia, and snake-necked turtles in Australia, up to the largest, the leatherback turtles, which, along with sea turtles, form their own family. The adaptability of turtles has ensured their survival to this day. For turtles, the shell, which already accounts for about 30% of the weight, is undoubtedly the anatomically decisive characteristic. No other vertebrate shows a comparable anatomy. Similar to the exoskeleton of insects, the turtle's shell, which consists of the carapace and plastron, encloses all important body regions and organs except the head. The bony shell consists of massive bone plates that form a rib cage, which developmentally arose from the vertebral arches and ribs of the vertebrate endoskeleton. The shoulder bone, unlike all other vertebrates with a shoulder girdle, has pushed under the ribs. This largely rigid bony shell requires an adaptation of respiration, which must be supported by the movement of the limbs with the help of strong muscle packages. Depending on the species, a leathery layer of skin, as in softshell turtles, or the typical layer of horned shields, which in turn consist of keratin, lies over the bony shell. The coloration of the horned shields mainly depends on the habitat of the turtle, as most species are color adapted to their environment. In decorative, map, painted, and cooter turtles, the horned shields renew themselves regularly by shedding the older outer horned shields to reveal newly formed ones underneath. In other turtles, growth rings form, and the outer horned shields wear down slightly through external abrasion. The joint and suture points of the horn and bone shells do not align but are offset against each other, further increasing the shell strength. The appearance of the entire shell varies greatly depending on the species. For example, the carapace of many species, especially in youth, has 1 or 3 longitudinal keels. In map turtles and Chinese three-keeled pond turtles, these pronounced keels are even eponymous. Various genera, e.g., box turtles and hingeback tortoises, can raise their plastron using a hinge to close the entire shell. Hinged tortoises have 2 hinges and can close the front and rear openings independently. A similar function is provided by the hinge in the carapace of the Cynixes. The development of the turtle shell is partly interpreted as an adaptation to the aquatic habitat. The rigid body thus enabled faster progress underwater, especially compared to the wriggling movements of other reptiles. However, the oldest known turtle fossils already show a highly developed shell, so its origins and development can only be speculated upon. Turtles have excellent vision. They can differentiate colors better than humans, as their eyes, like those of fish, amphibians, reptiles, and birds, have 4 color receptors. This enables them to perceive parts of the near-infrared and ultraviolet spectrum. However, they seem less able to differentiate shades of gray. The lenses of aquatic turtles are designed to compensate for the refractive index of water, allowing them to clearly recognize enemies and food in the water. Hunting turtle species can see both spatially and panoramically by changing their eye positions. The speed of visually perceived movements affects their flight response. If approached very slowly, a turtle flees later than when approached quickly. The sense of smell in turtles is particularly well developed. Aquatic turtles move aromatic substances to their olfactory receptors in the throat by chewing pumping movements of the lower jaw and neck. Through smell, they recognize suitable food or soil in which to bury their eggs. Additionally, sex partners are recognized by their scent, even underwater in aquatic species, probably over greater distances. Turtles have fully developed inner and middle ears, but no outer ears. They do not hear sounds to the same extent as humans. They perceive sound waves from about 100 Hz to 1000 Hz, primarily deep vibrations from their surroundings, and possibly the feeding sounds of conspecifics. Acoustic communication between individuals occurs with low tones. Mother turtles communicate with freshly hatched turtles. Embryos exchange acoustic signals with each other before hatching to possibly synchronize hatching. In 220 million and 160 million-year-old fossil turtles, teeth were discovered, which have regressed over the course of evolution. Modern turtles have no teeth, but rather keratinous ridges transformed into powerful cutting tools that together form the beak. Turtles are mostly omnivores. However, depending on the species, the diet is predominantly herbivorous or carnivorous. Some species, particularly aquatic ones, switch from a protein-rich diet with water insects as juveniles to a less energy-rich but easily obtainable plant diet as they grow older. For the comparatively large bony skeleton and the formation of hard-shelled eggs, turtles need calcium-rich food. Usually, their diet is very varied, as they are not picky when looking for edible things. Their diet ranges from meadow herbs, flowers, fruits, aquatic plants, and algae, to insects, worms, snails, fish, starfish, crabs, and jellyfish, and even carrion. However, some species are specific dietary specialists, such as the leatherback turtle, which specializes in jellyfish, or the Malaysian river terrapin, whose strong jaws reveal a preference for cracking snail shells. Some other turtle species have also adapted their body structure to specific hunting methods, such as the alligator snapping turtle, which quietly waits with its mouth open until a fish is attracted to the lure, a worm-shaped tip on its tongue. Another unusual catching method is practiced by the mata-mata turtle, which camouflages itself in the mud with its algae-covered shell and sucks in its prey by suddenly opening its huge jaws. I think the family Amididae is the best fit. Most Amididae lead an aquatic life. The diamondback terrapin also inhabits brackish water. Box turtles, however, live more terrestrially, on land. The diamondback terrapin, in particular, matches Blastoise's design the best. Which turtle would you choose? Write it in the comments. In the Pokemon world, Squirtless and Wartortles are likely to prefer a protein-based diet and actively hunt Tentacle and Poliwag. As they age, they become more frugal and switch to a herbivorous diet consisting of algae and water plants. If grass-type Pokemon stray into their waters, they will also take the opportunity to strike. In the next episode, we will focus on Butterfree. And as you can probably guess, we will have to go far back in time to find a biological connection to the rest of the Pokemon. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like.